I am worried about Amberlynn Reid. Don't get me wrong. I think if you're watching this, you probably know who Amber is, and it probably means you've seen the way she's been acting in her recent videos.
That's pretty pathetic if you ask me. And I think it's time you go outside and get a little bit of sun. You're looking a little pale.
In all honesty, I am a little bit annoyed with her antics. I don't like the way she's acting right now, and it's actually been a few months where I've been so close to being done with Girl World. And yet, a tiny part of me can't help but be genuinely worried. If you don't know who Amber is, you're probably wondering what business I, some 20-something-year-old from Europe, has to comment on a 30-year-old American woman's doings. And I get that, but I have something to say, so let me tell you. It all started for me when I was 17. In 2020, I had just moved out to college and needed a distraction from the, deadly virus thing, and also the absolutely crushing loneliness of living alone for the first time. So I went on YouTube, as I usually did, and there it was. In all its glory, vlog, huge grocery haul, emotional day, and childhood photos. On first glance, I had just discovered the somewhat sweet vlogger who was in a relationship with a girl named Becky, and also on the same journey as I was. Weight loss.
A YouTube channel for weight loss. I see a lot of videos of other people doing it, and it's so motivating, and
so I started following her channel and checked in between online classes and late night crying sessions. It wasn't long until I had completely fallen down the rabbit hole of Amberlynn Reid. It's been 4 years, and I am still not out. Amberlynn Reid started her YouTube channel in 2013 at the ripe age of 22. She weighed in at around 360 pounds and found a lot of support in her journey. Since then, as her audience has grown, there have been more and more people to actually turn away from Amber, who has proven time and time again that she really isn't as good a person as she'd like everyone to believe. Whether that is through going on and on about her love for her animals, but then failing to microchip or go out of her way for them for years, or by openly admitting to not only thinking herself better than her audience, but also gaslighting and lying to them repeatedly. Amberlynn has left her fair share of bad impressions on the internet. People of course make mistakes, and I'm not someone to scrutinize anybody for things they did 10 years ago. After all, people change. At least, most of them do. I'm not going to bore you with explaining what Amberlynn was up to between 2013 and 2020. If you don't know, or really want to hear again, there's a bunch of videos explaining her history in detail that are a lot better than anything I could make. I'll give you the condensed version. Between starting her YouTube channel and me initially finding it amidst the pandemic, Amberlynn had gained around 200 pounds. She had gone through 3 girlfriends, lived in 2 states. She had surpassed 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, survived uterine cancer, and gone on vacation. And she had finally settled with her girlfriend Becky, her 2 cats, Rarity and Wasabi, and her dog, Twinkie Star, in Kentucky. Throughout her time in Kentucky, Amberlynn seemed genuinely happy. She did what she always does, starting a diet, stopping a diet, complaining about the diet, and then starting all over again. One thing Amberlynn is known for in the community is her lack of commitment. The cycle, if you will. She starts things and stops them, she proceeds to blame anyone but herself, and when enough time has passed and she has either forgotten or chooses to ignore, she tries the same thing again. But it isn't just in her weight loss attempts where these tendencies come to surface. In 2021, Amberlynn and Becky got engaged.
I'm engaged.
Before promptly breaking up a few months later.
Do you want to tell them? Okay. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and just say it. We have broke up. It happened Sunday. And it was initiated by me. But the fact of the matter is I've had a lot of time to think and reflect, and we just want different things in life.
Since then, Amberlynn has been in a handful of relationships, each one just a bit more worrying than the one before. When Beck broke up with Amberlynn, the latter complained about how hurt and betrayed she felt excessively, all while sitting next to Beck on livestream. She vouched to stay single and how she couldn't do normal things anymore because everything reminded her of how Beck had blindsided her by breaking things off. And while all of this happened, she got into a new relationship with Wifey. Wifey, or Feline, came to Kentucky and stayed with Amberlynn even before Beck had even been given the chance to move out. So from mid-2021 on, Amberlynn had secured herself a new girlfriend. One that was incredibly controversial at the time, since they met on social media, and Amberlynn seemed to not even acknowledge the possibility of bad intentions. And this is a pattern she hasn't broken until today. In 2023, Wifey and Amber broke up. Once again, Amberlynn was left heartbroken by the end of their relationship. And once again, it hadn't taken more than a few weeks for her to find someone new to text with. Since Amber tends to meet her girlfriends online, information about Amberlynn's newest girlfriend took some time to actually come out to audiences. And even now, it's not 100% clear how this one went down. Another woman she had met online, another girlfriend whose intentions she couldn't be sure about. Except that she was. Even after finding out she had been lied to by her new girlfriend Valentine. Even after finding out Valentine had had a wife. Even after finding out Valentine had initially texted Amber as a joke to get some sort of reaction to make fun of her for. Even after all that, Amberlynn decided to stick around. And I think if not at any point before, this is where it gets worrying. Amberlynn can, and will, willfully ignore information that stops her from getting what she wants. And it is such an easy behavior to fall into. Because, put yourself in Amberlynn's shoes for a second. You've garnered so much attention online from people who criticize you all day. In your mind, each and every one of the reaction channels that exist, really only because you do, is out to get you. Isn't it time for you to get something nice for once? Even if that something nice is married? I don't think so. But I don't find it necessarily hard to believe that Amberlynn does. And they broke up anyway. And because of the circumstances of their relationship, and because of the audience Amberlynn Reid has, people start talking.
Last night, Valentine and her wife's Instagram profiles started to circulate after Amber decided to reveal to her entire audience that Valentine's real name is Erica, even though Amber allegedly agreed to not make any videos about her. When her wife Brittany reached out to me via Instagram DMs, I asked Erica to send me a friend request to prove it was really her, and she did just that. Erica and her wife do not wish to remain anonymous, hidden, or blurred. So with all that said, this is how it all went down.
Okay, hello, Apathetic Facts. This is Erica. I do want to say how this all started was me and Brittany were sitting in bed and we saw one of Amberlynn's posts talking about masculine women. And Brittany looked at me and I looked at her and I was like, what if I messaged her? Right? So our first message was, I was like, I think I said like masculine women ? Or something like that. And she messaged me back and we were messaging for a while, back and forth, just like talking. And then, of course, it started becoming a problem, between Brittany and I, because I was like, apparently, I guess her true colors were showing, whatever.
Amber went live on YouTube on August 1st, 2024, addressing the whole situation. Her live stream, titled My Side of the Story, lays out Amberlynn's perspective of the relationship from start to finish. The only issue is that the story was already public at this point. Valentine and her wife had already shared the story online, which means people had their opinions pre-established before joining Amber on livestream. I'm not sure how much it would have changed had Amberlynn been quicker in addressing the issue, but by the time she did, her comments were already flooded with people expressing the disdain for how Amber handled her most recent relationship. There were some supporters, claiming that it's not Amberlynn's fault that Valentine decided to cheat with her, though it seems like more people agree that as soon as Amberlynn found out, she should have left. Comments like, sure, make your own narrative, everyone but you is a problem, right? And maybe don't fall for the first person who gives you attention, were left. And for whatever reason, be it their wording or their circumstances, or simply because Amber was so secure in her victim position that it didn't matter what anyone had to say, Amber doesn't seem to acknowledge the fault in her actions. I do believe that the public's disdain for how she went about this relationship has only made Amberlynn's resolve stronger. I think it's why she's choosing to die on the hill that is Tommy Slamy, her latest girlfriend. Now, I don't mean to be morbid, but I really truly hope it won't be literally. Tommy and Amber started dating in July of 2024 and broke up only recently in January of 2025. On the surface, Tommy seemed average. She is a single mother who lives in a home in Wisconsin. She seems to have a stable job and stable income. All in all, nothing hints at there being anything worrisome about her and Amberlynn's relationship. Only that if you look just a bit deeper into who Tommy really is, you'll find information that causes concern. Tommy is a feeder. Feederism is a kink that falls under the broader umbrella of fat fetishism, where gratification is linked to the weight gain of oneself or a partner. Now, I am not somebody to yuck anybody's yum, and if two consenting adults decide one of them wants to feed the other until they gain a couple more pounds in the confines of their private bedroom, that's really none of my business. Only that Tommy has displayed her behavior on public platforms, which means I can make it my business. You see, up until April of 2024, Tommy was actually in a different relationship. One with a woman called Colleen. Colleen was very publicly involved with Tommy on one if not multiple feederism websites, going by the name of Contrast Couple on their shared account. They posted pictures of Tommy laying under Colleen's tummy. They posted updates when Colleen had to get a new bed because her old one couldn't support the sheer weight of her, or when she had to be hospitalized due to weight-related issues. They did all this until the inevitable happened. Colleen passed away in April of 2024. At her highest, she allegedly weighed over 1,000 pounds, and there are multiple pictures of her and Tommy while she's wearing an oxygen mask to breathe. I want to make it very clear that I am not blaming Tommy for the death of her late partner. But, and there's always a but, just because Colleen was an adult who made decisions for and about herself, that doesn't mean that Tommy wasn't. She saw the toll her weight had been taking on her partner, and she continued still to aid her in distributing herself as fetish content. She is still consuming this content, even after she experienced firsthand what it could do. When people first found Tommy's socials, she was following a few feederism accounts on Instagram. Since people started talking, she started getting rid of the evidence. But as we all know, the internet doesn't forget. And yet Amberlynn still tries her absolute hardest to deny Tommy being a feeder. At first, she tried to convince her audience to post a fake, only to later reel back and say Tommy didn't have a choice but to make feeder content because she needed the money to visit her late girlfriend. Since then, she has gone back and forth on whether Tommy is a feeder, and ultimately now that they have broken up, doesn't even acknowledge that Tommy has admitted to Amberlynn's audience what everyone knew the whole time. You might be wondering why this matters now. Amberlynn has always been consistent on one point. Amberlynn is not a feedie. She doesn't want to gain more weight, she wants to lose it. She would never be with someone who wants to watch her eat.
To be a feeder is a completely different topic. A feeder versus someone who prefers bigger girls, two completely different things, and she is not that. She is not a feeder. I would never in a million years be in a relationship with one.
These claims are a little harder to believe now because on Amberlynn's 34th birthday, a video leaked. A video Amberlynn had openly talked about before.
So something about Erica is she loves a crumble cookie or a cookie crumbles or whatever the hell it's called. She loves those. So every week she would get a new flavor. And one week she was like, oh my God, the banana split is like so good. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And just like repeatedly, she was like, you need to try this. You need to try this. You need to try this. So I was like, okay. So I wanted to film like a taste test for her. So I put two and two together and I was like, okay, Erica loves to watch my YouTube, loves when I do like a taste test. Why don't I put that in a video just specifically for her? But then why don't I make it also kind of sexy like I did with like the dishes video? And it had nothing to do with like feederism. No, because I was doing it with like other activities in my life. And this one just happened to be with a cookie. And it's nothing hectic, I promise. Like, I would show you guys.
The leak of Amber's crumble cookie video is concerning mostly because Amberlynn says she is not the one to have publicly distributed it, making it revenge porn and therefore illegal. It's made its rounds regardless, so I'm sure you can find it if you really want to see. I've seen it, at least in parts. I think it's concerning because this is Amberlynn Reid, who has been adamant about not eating for anybody's arousal, clearly eating a cookie for someone's arousal. This is a step she's taking into a direction that is so obviously far from right. I don't understand how she justified this one for herself. Of course, there's an argument to be made that lots of people use food in their fantasies or in sexual acts, so it's not weird that she's doing it. And this is an argument Amberlynn loves to use. Every time people call her out on her weight being a problem and the reason bad things happen to her, Amberlynn has the perfect rebuttal. When Amber fell and pulled ligaments in her ankle, it didn't have anything to do with her weight because skinny people fall too. When Amberlynn had to use a scooter because she couldn't physically walk around the store, it was completely fine because everyone, even skinny people, use scooters. When Amber got cellulitis in her leg for the 4th time, it really wasn't anything to worry about. After all, skinny people get cellulitis too. What Amberlynn fails to realize is that just because it can happen to anybody, that doesn't mean her weight doesn't play a major factor in how things happen to her. If I were to fall on my knees right now, it wouldn't be nice, and it would hurt, for sure, but I could get up unscathed save for a bruise or two. If the same thing happened to Amber, she might not be able to stand up at all. I'm struggling a little to find the exact words for what I want to say next, so bear with me. When Amberlynn Reid films a video while seductively eating a crumble cookie, that isn't just like the average person doing the same thing. Because she is fat. I don't mean this in a good or bad, black and white kind of way. I just mean her being morbidly obese changes the circumstances. The people that watch her video and sexually find enjoyment in it aren't looking at the cookie. They're looking at her eating the cookie. And I think it makes a difference, even if I'm not great at expressing it. They are looking at her body. They are fetishizing her. And for some reason, Amberlynn seems to be completely fine with this.
The whole topic is just like really weird to me, but I like to look at the gray area, and that's what I just gave you. But if we're just doing black and white and you're genuinely asking me, how does it feel to be fetishized? Like, because there are supposedly people who fetishize me. Feels great. Feels wonderful. All right, you guys.
Something happened between Beck and Amberlynn breaking up and now, where it seems she doesn't really care anymore about keeping up the illusion of somebody on a weight loss journey. Something, or someone, was making her believe that she could eat just a little more. Once again, Amberlynn is an adult. She's in her 30s, and it's her job to make sure she acts in her best interest. But Amberlynn has proven time and time again that she struggles with consistency, and she struggles with being alone, and she struggles with seeing the bigger picture. And now you put all of that together and throw a perfectly timed feed her girlfriend in the mix, and all of a sudden Amberlynn seems to be gaining weight again. She's making up stories and telling half-truths, all to convince us, and as I suspect herself, that her girlfriend really isn't that bad. She's desperately trying to convince everybody of the deep love Tommy feels for her, and that she couldn't want anything bad to happen to her. I don't want to be that one, but I'm sure Tommy said the same things and expressed the same love towards her late girlfriend. Tommy has since broken things off with Amberlynn, stating that she isn't comfortable with people digging into her past just because she's dating a YouTuber. That is, of course, her prerogative, and I truly believe she has a point. But I also think she knew about this before dating Amber, as we know now that she was at least, to some extent, part of her audience. Amber did not take being broken up with well. She's playing the blame game, not acknowledging at all that she isn't completely faultless in the way the relationship ended.
I wish like it was my fault, so then I could be like, yeah, well, I'm shitty, so it makes sense, but like it's not my fault.
After all, had she not lied from the beginning, people wouldn't have felt the need to find out for themselves. Amberlynn does this thing where she doesn't put all the cards on the table and is somehow baffled when people want to see what she so clearly just tried to hide up her sleeve. It's not like she has to share everything about herself or her partner on the internet, but then don't show your partner. Don't tell us her name. Don't follow her on Instagram. If you want to protect someone's privacy, do it right. Don't do this half-assed thing where you share her name and her face and then be offended when people recognize her from the feeder community. It's such a slippery slope Amberlynn is on right now. Amber is a proud person, and she isn't the kind of woman to back down and admit she was wrong about something. And who can blame her? She has an audience full of people who would love to see her proven wrong. But for once, I urge her to see the forest for the trees. This relationship was not healthy, neither physically nor emotionally. She keeps saying she was so happy with Tommy, but from what we see in her vlogs, she was miserable, at an all-time low even. Amberlynn is single now, and I really think she needs to be. Not for a few weeks or a few months. I think Amberlynn needs to figure out how to live with herself by herself and how to find joy in life and better yourself without relying on a partner. I said it earlier, but I actually see a lot of myself in Amber. I might not be 500 pounds, but I've been unhappy with my weight and still been unsuccessful in changing it. And I've had moments where I blamed mine and everyone else's behavior on the way I looked. I thought they must have been coming from a bad place, because how couldn't they if they saw me? I saw myself in the mirror every day, and I also judged, so I assumed everyone else must be too. This view of myself had me clinging on to any love I could get, because I know I couldn't love myself the way I was, so I couldn't imagine anybody else wanting to stick around if I didn't do everything in my power to make them. Everything, including bending and breaking myself into the person they wanted me to be. I don't know if this is something Amberlynn is doing consciously or subconsciously. She has told us time and time again that her BPD makes her focus on her partner so deeply that she won't even realize how much she gave until after it ends. Tommy has not been shy about sharing the kinds of people she likes on the internet, and I wouldn't put it past Amberlynn to be so wrapped up in new relationship dopamine emotions to not even realize she's been eating more again. What's one more meal out, after all, if her girlfriend wants to go? Amberlynn sees her entire audience as the bad guy. Her comments are full of people making snide remarks on her most recent relationship and calling her out for making the wrong decision by wanting to stay with her, and that's not something anybody would like to hear. But I think, for the most part, these people aren't being malicious. I think, for the most part, they're kind of like me, worried about Amberlynn Reid. And even though the relationship is over, I can't help but be concerned that she has opened the door for more bad decisions by letting somebody like Tommy in. I don't think Tommy was this evil mastermind that coerced her way into Amber's life only to feed her and watch her suffer and make her lie. I just think that the fact that Amberlynn is craving love isn't a secret, and if she's gonna let someone like Tommy in, who allegedly enjoyed certain things in the past but definitely didn't do them with Amber, who's to say what else she will excuse in the name of love? There's a chance Amberlynn is going to stick to her resolve regardless of what anybody says, but as of today, she has stopped another diet. She hasn't gotten her next dose of semaglutide because it didn't ship in time, and I might not know the full story, but I'm convinced that had she really tried, there would have been a different way to get your medicine in the 2 weeks since you put the order in. But who knows, I'm not American. I want nothing but happiness and a long, prosperous life for her, and I can't help but be worried that the people she's choosing to surround herself with aren't going to help in that endeavor. I think Amberlynn is choosing not to see the proof so blatantly laying out before her because it would interfere with her happiness right now. It's the same way she will rationalize breaking her diet or having just one more candy bar. She's only looking at the right now. She's only taking into account what she wants in this moment, because she thinks that's what happiness is. She had a consultation with a therapist in her latest vlog as of recording this, and I applaud that step. It's one in the right direction, and I think therapy is genuinely the only thing she should focus on right now. Amber, if you're watching, even though I doubt you are, you deserve a love that won't require you to lie for the person you're with. You deserve to live and enjoy living and spend as many years with your mom and family as you can. And for the love of God, stop meeting your girlfriends in your Instagram DMs. In the end, it's on you. Go to therapy, look inward, and know that there's no shame in doing something just because your haters are going to tell you they told you so. Stick to a diet. Prove to yourself that you can do it, because somehow, even after 5 years of watching, I really think you can. Even if this falls on deaf ears, this was Rosie. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely day.